For those of you who don't know, Jim Farley is the CEO of Ford. Ford everywhere, not just Ford UK or America. He's the CEO of Ford. And he gave a surprising interview. Now, I have to say, I really admire Jim Farley. He's stuck in a lot of ways that he can't do what he wants to do, what needs to be done. But he's a very open sort of chap. He tells it as it is. And I really like that in a CEO, as opposed to someone like Mary Barra, who's CEO of General Motors. She just lies her head off, everything, just a lie. Yeah, we'll overtake Tesla by 2018. Yeah, we're going to have 50% of all our cars EVs by 2019, whatever it was. But overall, she's just outright lying. Jim Farley's a breath of fresh air. He's just come out and he said that they regularly go over to China. They've been over there, a team, 3 or 4 times, and every time they bring out new cars, they go back over there. And what they do, in his interview, he said, was they go out and try all the cars available that they haven't yet tried, and they just drive them. There's a team of them, and they go over there and they just drive everything. And they make a short list of cars that they like, they really like, that they think have got potential. And he said they just put them on a plane and send them back to, they call it Skunk Works, which is where everything is stripped apart and analysed and all the good ideas taken. Hang on a minute. Is that not what China does with us? That we make things, they copy them, strip them apart, re-engineer them, and then start selling them back. Well, anyhow, so they first of all take them back, and everybody has a drive in them to find out what's good and what's bad about them. And then they send it into the Skunk Works, and they just strip it apart, and they look at everything that's going on. This is where they get most of their ideas from. One of the things that came out was really interesting. First of all, Jim Farley's been driving around in a Chinese car for several months now. There's nothing he wants to drive around in of his own making, so he drives around in Chinese cars. And he says they're light years ahead of the rest of the world. But the really interesting one was when he said that they have a different attitude to the technology on board. So companies like Xiaomi and Huawei, and these are mobile phone companies, he said, when you get in an EV in the Western world, Europe or UK or America, your phone will pair with the computer. Now, quick question, how many of the in-car displays in UK or legacy-made auto cars are 4K OLED HDR? Yeah, I'll leave you to answer that one. But what happens when you pair your phone is you get a cut-down, an abbreviated version of it to cut down any lag with it. So most of the stuff that you run on your phone is not running at its full speed. It would actually run on your phone, let alone on your computer. Over there, they have a very different attitude. Their car is actually the computer, and when you get in, it becomes your phone. It's not paired with your phone. You don't need a phone on you. Your phone goes wherever your car goes. So it's one integrated unit. And that means you can run much more complicated programs, much more demanding programs, and have much better coverage, much better displays on the screen. Everything is so much better because they're not pairing with anything. They're not swapping data. It's just as if, I'll give you an analogy, you put a SIM in an EV, if you could, on some cars, and then the car would become the mobile phone. But it would still be separate because it's running through a separate SIM. So we don't have a direct analogy. But it does explain why they are so far ahead of us. And Jim Farley himself says they are a decade ahead of anything that Ford is working on at the moment. And that includes the Skunk Works, which is working on all the latest technology, the latest things that are going on. So to say that they're 10 years behind the most advanced stuff in America is really pretty sad. And it shows that how fast the pace is changing. The Chinese started with really basic cars, really horrible cars. And they started with really basic screens and displays where you had to pair your phone and use your phone, use the display as a second phone, etc., etc. But over the last 20 years, they started this almost 25 years ago, but over the last 20 years, they got really good at it. They've now come to the stage where this is just a computer on wheels. the wheels bit is becoming less and less and less important. As long as it'll go 200, 300, 400 miles, as long as it'll do a reasonable speed, and as long as there's enough space in it, the rest of it, it's all in the computer. And having one computer that will run your car and also operate as your phone and everything is a massive advantage. It's a totally integrated system. It also means that all the parts in the car are totally integrated as well. Ford still to this day buy in components which have chips on them, which are made by third-party manufacturers, maybe Malaysia, Vietnam, China, Singapore, and that chip will have its own proprietary program on it, which is written by or for the manufacturer of that particular component. A window motor, for example, electric window motor. And so when a legacy auto company installs that window electric motor, they have to get their computer on board their car, F-150 Lightning, Mustang Mach-E. They have to get their car to talk to this other chip and integrate with it and be able to control it. It's not the same as having an integrated system where every single component in the whole of the car is just linked into the computer, not through anything else, and then the whole of the control is passed over to the computer. So there's a massive change on our way, and particularly with AI, because once you introduce AI, you get things like Grok, or you can talk to your car. It will understand an awful lot more. It will do an awful lot more for you. And in all of this, China's just so far ahead of us. And even the basic ones, we just launched the BYD Dolphin Surf in the UK, 18.5 grand. That's probably got better onboard technology than a lot of the cars that are 30, 40, 50,000 pound made in by Legacy Auto in the West. So we're just a league apart at the moment, and that's going to take quite some time to change. So Ford can do what they want. They have to start either just getting all the manufacturers to install the same chip and the same program into everything they supply: brake pads, sensors, window sensors, temperature sensors, cameras, lights, everything. They need to go to their suppliers and say, look, we need everything integrated into one unit. And if you can't do that, we can't make the cars. They're not going to do it. That's going to take a massive amount of work. So in the meantime, we in the West, from Legacy Auto, we tend to get the really bad end of the technology. It's often cobbled together using many different components with a central computer or several computers, and they all have to try and work together. And then when you get in with your phone, there's another complication to it. I'm pleased to say that Teslas don't do exactly that. Teslas, again, work the Chinese way. They've been sort of mirroring them. I don't know if the Chinese have been copying them or they've been copying Chinese. Doesn't matter. But either way, Tesla's always started with the basis that they've got a big computer. They put a smaller version of that computer in everything they make, the battery packs, the mega packs, in their cars, in their semis, in their chargers, superchargers. Everything's got the same thing in, and they build 90%, 85 to 90% of it in-house over there. So over there, everything with a Tesla just works together. Now, for many people, okay, you've got Elon, people hate him. That's fine. You know, if you don't want to buy one, don't buy one. That's fine. But don't tell us what we can or can't buy. The technology you'll get from the Tesla made in the West is vastly different to what you'll get, which is made by any legacy auto anywhere. And it's not until you take one for a drive and start finding out what they're doing, what they're capable of, how they work, that you really understand it. It's one of the reasons why Legacy Auto is struggling, because they just can't get this into integration. It really is a case of go right the way back to the basics, start again, brand new platform, get your software sorted, get everything in it working, and then every single thing that you bolt onto that car, from seat motors to door mirror motors to temperature sensors, whatever it is, then everything must automatically talk to that. That's what they do in China. We're not doing that over here yet. So we've got a long way to go. We're making half-decent EVs. A lot of those EVs, Mustang Mach-E is quite a nice car. Nothing wrong with it. New Ford Explorer, yeah, good enough car. It's not exciting, but it's a passable car. And if that's what we want, then that's what we're going to get. Over in America, they don't have any choice. They don't have access to any of the Chinese cars at all. Not allowed in. And so over there, they are really suffering. In the UK, we are better than Europe because we've had a policy since Labour came in a year ago that we're not going to have any tariffs specifically against the Chinese, basically because it doesn't work. So we are getting the Chinese cars. Europe is just getting to the stage of, yeah, we're going to have to work with the Chinese. So we're going to have to do some sort of deal to get it all working. And that is going ahead quite strongly at the moment. And it will almost certainly be some sort of minimum price deal where Europe just sets a minimum price. You cannot sell a two-door small hatchback for less than 18,000 euros. And that's what they'll sell at. So it just means that it levels the playing field. You still end up with that gap between the technology. And that's the killer, because you might get the quality of a BMW or an Audi or a Volkswagen, and the stitching on the seats might be absolutely stunning, and the door gaps might be within 0.1 of a millimetre. But if your onboard display is rubbish, which is most important to you? And to me, with an EV, what's most important is the software that runs the whole thing and the display I see in front of me. And I've driven an awful lot of cars over the years I've been running the channel. My car now, it's a 2015 model. It was made at the end of 2015 over in California, shipped over here early 2016, put on the road. So it's technically a 2015 model, 10 years old. I tell you what, my display today is better than most of the displays that are out there on Legacy Auto. It's really sad to say, because by now they should have caught up and they should have overtaken or at least kept up with it. But also really sad to say that my technology is about 10 years behind what's on the new cars today. So I am seriously missing out on what I could be having if I go out and buy a brand new Model Y or a Model 3. But mine is still a very valid software package, integrated package today. And so it says a little bit that a 10-year-old car can actually be better than a brand new car. Now it is July, so we're just waiting for the first of the results to come through. And as always, China and Tesla, always the first, fully computerized. They can press a button at the end of the month. They know pretty much exactly. So the figures coming out now, Tesla are showing 410,000 vehicles manufactured in the last quarter, April, May and June. And of 410,000, they delivered 384,000. Interesting to note that the Model S, the Model X and the Cybertruck accounted for just 10,000 of that. It is virtually all Model Y and Model 3. And that's a figure that's down. The actual figure they give, total figure is down 13.48% on the quarter versus Q2 2024. This is Q2 2025. So 13% down. The number of people will leap about in glee. Oh, Tesla's crashed and getting worse by the day. The sales are going down. The actual reality is very different. This is not a Tesla fanboy saying it. This is just the figures. When the figures were announced, the stock market went up. They put the price of the shares up. And the reason for that, really simple, is that the expert in Wall Street anticipated a very much bigger drop in both production and deliveries than Tesla reported. And the reason for that, fairly obvious, I've mentioned this so many times, and that is for about a month in this quarter, they shut all the factories down for refurbishing for the Model Y refresh. So during that month, those production lines were producing nothing at all. Even once they got going, it takes time to ramp up to speed. You don't just refurb a production line and then go back to full speed the next day. You hit problems and snags and everything else, but you wind back up again. So effectively, April was out because they were all shut down. May was pretty much out. They were ramping back up again. And the first of the cars started going out the end of May or June, which are the Model Ys. Ticking over in the background were the Model 3s. So that was what was holding up the sales. We're now getting into June figures. Now, the June figures, I haven't seen the separate June figures yet, but those I'm absolutely guaranteed will show a massive surge in Tesla sales. We saw this up in Norway, and we saw it in Spain. Spain, I think it was a 50% increase. They just shipped a load of Tesla Model Y refreshes, and they just were snapped up and went out, and everybody was buying them. So we're going to see now, this was the bad quarter, which they forecast a year ago. Factories will be shut, lines will be refurbished, and it's now starting to come back. And if you look at year to date, the first 6 months of the year, Tesla's still by far the best-selling car in the whole of Europe and the UK. It is, strangely enough, the Model 3 is actually coming really strong at the moment. It is doing far better than anyone anticipated. Did have a refresh 2 years ago, but it didn't really take off, I think because at the time the Model Ys were out. But nowadays, the Model 3 and the Model Y are going head-to-head. It's going to get interesting because as the factories get back into absolute full production, those sales figures are going to keep on rising. But then we're going to start getting the cut-down version of the Model Y and the Model 3. These will be budget ones, going to be priced somewhere between $30,000 to $35,000. And then sometime in this quarter, we're going to get the Model 2, which is going to be between $20,000 and $25,000. And then after that, we're going to be starting to get robotaxis. So there's an awful lot happening at the moment. But the figures aren't bad. And the stock market's shown that, yeah, they anticipated that the figures would not be good. They were told by everyone they weren't good. They'd been monitoring. They realized they weren't good. But Tesla does not have an inventory problem. Doesn't have tens of thousands of cars sat anywhere in showrooms unsold. Almost all cars, as they're made, are going off to end customers. And that's something that most of the legacy auto can't claim. They probably have hundreds of thousands, millions of cars sat in dealerships, particularly in America, where the company has sold them to the dealers, and the dealers not yet sold them on to an end user. So it's different markets. So Tesla, when they quote deliveries, that's delivered to end customers, whether it's a leasing company or whether it's a hire company or whether it's a commercial company, a works car, or whether it's a private sale. Doesn't matter. These are all deliveries. So the figures are looking good. I've seen I run the Fantasy share, virtual share portfolio. And that one's showing a very healthy profit at the moment. So there's nothing I've seen really here that's going to affect us in the UK. The big one, though, America is going to really suffer. They've got a few months now to make up, and then there's a lot of companies over there won't make it. Rivian, by the way, yeah, it's one of those. They've had massive amounts of money poured into them by rich investors, and they've still got faith in them, but their sales this quarter have been down 22%, and they don't sell that many cars, only a few thousand. What you have to realize is when you put Tesla into context, Ford is struggling to sell 100,000 cars a year. General Motors has done more than that. It's actually had a bit of a run recently, and it's done more than that. Stellantis struggled to get anywhere near 100,000, and yet a bad quarter for Tesla is 410,000 cars delivered. Yeah, it's a different world. So yeah, all you negative ones out there, yeah, Tesla's manufacturing is down, production and deliveries are down. Totally expected. Watch next quarter, see what happens then. The market thinks it knows. I know. So let's see what does happen. But in the meantime, sales are booming. Tesla's still the best-selling cars in Europe. Both the Model 3 and the Model Y are the best-selling cars in the UK. You can't argue with figures. I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's only because of commercial, or it doesn't matter. Sales are sale to me. Anyway, that's it for now. So thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Not got many days left here, just coming to an end. So I'll be back in the studio way too soon. And we're going to get some real in-depth interviews. We've got them lined up. We're starting to see an awful lot of people now are building EV chargers, public chargers, off-grid. This includes in the UK, We reported already from the Holiday Inn in Wigan, where they got 270 kilowatts of panels, and they've got no cars actually using it, so they're trying to get that out and get people using it. We're also going down to visit the first one that I've met that's plugged straight into a battery and has no grid connection whatsoever. Big shout out to GridServe. They do have one, or they did have one, which is down in Cornwall. I'll be down in Cornwall July, August, catching up on things, family down there, but also GridServe down there at the Cornwall services. They've got the first battery, solar panels on the canopy and wind turbine operating, and from when I was there last time, they've now added a load more chargers. So there's stuff going on down there. And we're going to try and get in to see someone in GridServe to let us know what the plans are and how it's going so far. So keep an eye out, subscribe, and then you'll hear when we launch a video. So thanks a lot. I'm Dave.